Yesterday was the Eternals world premiere, and some of the big names in YouTube and journalism were all there. They got to watch it, so we as fans get to reap the benefits and talk a little bit about what we learned from the world premiere. Namely, what these individuals each had to say. We'll be going over their thoughts on the movie. It seems like this one, on the overall reaction I've seen on Twitter, on Instagram, throughout, had a little bit of mixed reviews. Not everybody absolutely loved it. Now, pretty much everybody says that it was a great movie, but not everybody was going crazy like they were during Shang-Chi. On top of that, we can talk a little bit about the small details we've learned about the end credit scenes. Yes, there are two, and that is now confirmed. And we can talk about the reaction people have been having to seeing that. Now guys, don't worry, there are no spoilers in this video. I'm not talking about what happens during the end credit scenes. In fact, I don't even know. I'm basing all of my information off of what others have said about the world premiere event, the movie, and the end credit scenes. So there will be no spoilers in this video. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much more. I'm Chris, and yes, it is time for some Eternals, but remember to check out the very end of the video so that you can hear about our Spider-Man collectible giveaway that we are doing. For starters, let's hear what Brandon Davis from comicbook.com had to say, where he says Eternals is a whole lot of movie. It's a shot with a massive scope, looking visually different and more intimate than anything else Marvel. It has laughs, great surprises, and heart to go with the gigantic, crowded story it unpacks. Chloe Zhao has a really unique visual stamp. And that's something I've heard a ton from pretty much everybody that saw it, whether they liked it or not, is that it is very visually stimulating. It's a gorgeous film, and it's going to get people very excited to see all of the different directions and angles that we do see in this specific film. Now, Brandon Davis here talks specifically about how it's a lot to unpack and it's a lot of movie, and that's something that I've definitely heard a few people disagree on, whether it was too much, whether it wasn't enough, whether it was too long, whether they needed more time. And based specifically off of what I've heard, it's a relatively long movie, pushing over 2.5 hours, trying to give you a lot of information. The people who really loved the movie wanted it to be a little longer so that the information could be better given, and the people who liked the movie a little less would have been happier with a shorter story and less information that had to come. Now, following that, we'll go to Greg Alba from The Real Rejects, who was a little bit more on the less interested side based off of what he says, saying, and in his basic summary, he puts it as, an emotional experience that was a bit hollow. Storytelling didn't elicit much of an emotional response, but was an interesting observation piece. So we're going back to that. If you really liked the movie and the story, you wanted more. If you felt like it was a little too much or it didn't give you that emotional connection that maybe you wanted, then it was a little bit too long. But one thing Greg does say that everybody has agreed on is it is stimulating. It is observationally beautiful, and that's how he puts it, and that's awesome. Now, I don't actually give Greg a hard time for not necessarily loving the movie. I like getting these different responses from different people who saw it. And let's be honest, every single Marvel movie can't be the greatest Marvel movie ever made. And now I have expectations going into the film that, hey, maybe there is something in this story here that just won't grab my attention as an individual, as a person watching a Marvel movie. Now, I'm sure the cast, the actors, the director, the entire group, the whole team did a fantastic job in creating the story they wanted to. But the question that you have to ask as you're reading these comments is it the story I care about? Is it a storyline moving into the very vast and very wide open Marvel universe that I have particular interest in? Now, I've heard also from others that this is one of the most game-changing movies in the MCU since Endgame. And that's a pretty bold statement because the MCU has already changed a lot in the few projects we've gotten during Phase 4. So what exactly will be introduced by the Eternals? What has been happening behind the scenes for 7,000 years that is going to be made known that will affect anything moving forward in the MCU to the level of Avengers Endgame? Now, my main man, Warren the Cosmic Wonder, was at the event, and here's what he had to say after he finished. The Eternals was amazing. I love the world building and storytelling, one of the most beautiful films ever made. Now, that's a very compact statement, but it does unpack a lot of details from the movie, especially when coupled with what other people have said. Specifically, one of the most beautiful films ever made. Now, he's not talking Marvel at this point, I would presume, since he doesn't say one of the most beautiful Marvel movies, just one of the most beautiful films, and that's really touched on by everybody who's seen it, and has me very excited to see that cinematography, the visual effects, the gorgeous different gleamings and happenings that are going to happen. Now here he talks specifically about the world building, and I'm not sure if this is a reference to actual world building because we're talking about gods, or world building as in the Marvel storyline. Regardless of that fact, we're going to be getting a lot of outside information, stuff that has been outside the scope of our original Avengers. And that's something we need to keep in mind. I think in the entirety of the MCU, our minds have been so focused and fed the story of the Avengers, everything going on with the Avengers, and yes, they were directly correlated with bringing back the decimation of half the universe, and they were a big part of our universe's storyline. But there is a lot more going on in the background, and this film is going to introduce us to cosmic entities, to gods, to celestial beings, and we're going to learn a lot more about the behind the scenes of the Marvel universe. What's happening beyond the Avengers? What's happening beyond the stuff that we are immediately given? And how is that affecting what is happening within? And I think with the multiverse opening up and so much other crazy stuff going on, it's important that we understand the deeper, more complex parts of the universe. Now, the last comment we'll read comes from Eric Voss and leads directly into the post-credit scenes conversation we want to have. And he says Eternals is a groundbreaking Marvel spectacle and the biggest game changer since Avengers Endgame. Closeout brings a daring sense of scale to the MCU. If you love world building, Eternals shows you how it's done. Literally. Can't wait to see Eternals again on opening night. This was my first time being invited to a fancy red carpet premiere, so I am admittedly a bit rosy on the whole evening, but Eternals is my kind of weird. At times the film feels like a Greek drama with gods bickering over the use of power. I'm on board, baby. And my lord, the post-credit scenes. And before we even get to those, several times during the film I thought, wait, did I just hear that right? Did they just do that in a Marvel movie? Bravo. So there you have it. Specifically, he talks about the world building literally, so that'll answer my thoughts from the Cosmic Wonders response where he was talking about if you love world building. So I guess we are literally going to be seeing some worlds being built, and he touches heavily on what I was just saying before, with the specific world building, with the specific behind the scenes, bigger scale of the MCU that we haven't seen outside of our intimate little universe up to this point, and how important that's going to be moving forward. Now, he does say, oh my lord, these post-credit scenes, but obviously they've been sworn to secrecy, they can't say anything, but there are two, and the reactions, the very short, immediate reactions, the faces I've seen to people who even brought it up, seems like something very big is going to happen, which, at this point, really shouldn't come as a huge surprise to us. Marvel loves to take the ends of these movies, these post-credit scenes, and drop these crazy bombs. Now, I'm hoping it's something with a little bit more context than we've been getting, something that gives us a little bit more of an immediate answer to what we should expect, potentially even the reveal of a big bad. I'd like to see something like Galactus potentially, since we are in the big scope of the MCU. So perhaps since we're dealing with gods and celestial beings, we can see the awakening of one, something at the caliber of Galactus, and now his interest in the Avengers, since they had the power and multiple times snaps happened on Earth, which would probably cause some type of celestial individual or some type of godly individual to want to know what exactly is going on. Now, the harvesting of all this power and watching it all take place and backing up in the Eternals and watching it on a bigger scale is the perfect opportunity. So that's my wish based off of my understanding of the Eternals, is that we do get introduced not specifically to Galactus, but maybe to a Galactus type. That would make a lot of sense to me. It would be a cool little first peek into the big bad headed our way further down in the MCU, but we're gonna have to wait until the premiere, which is only a couple weeks away. And based off of what everybody is saying, I am excited to back up, see the huge scale of the MCU, and try to unpack this crazy, crazy big story. Thanks to everybody who watched till the very end of the video. Here are the giveaway details. The Cosmic Wonder and I are teaming up with Sidekick Central, a cool local store in our area, who is doing a really awesome job of putting together a ton of collectibles and offering them out to the community. So I'll leave a link to their Instagram in the description down below if you'd like to check out what they offer in their store, as well as announce that we will be giving away a Marvel Universe Variant Bring Arts Spider-Man collectible. Now this thing is awesome. It's insanely detailed and customizable in almost every aspect, including the direction it stands, it looks, its facial features, its hands, and even the iron spider claws on the back. It comes with its own stand, and you can set it up in any way you want, and we're super excited to be giving this away to you guys. All you need to do to enter is subscribe to the Cosmic Wonder channel, and of course, subscribe to Cosmic Culture as well. That's this channel. And make sure you're commenting in the videos, letting us know what you think about what we're talking about, because we will be picking a random winner from a random video in the comment section. So to make sure you have a chance to win, subscribe to those two channels and comment in any of our next few videos so that you can be entered. I'll see you guys right here on the next one on Cosmic Culture.